All right, and we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we got a lot to talk about in our stream. I'm going to talk about how Web 3.0 can reach mass adoption. Okay, I'm going to look at a story that came up over this past 24 hours that sort of triggered this idea in my head because a lot of people are sitting around going like, hey, what are the next catalysts that can actually bring people back into the crypto space, attract interest into this, and actually take this technology to its full potential so that we're not just sitting around watching cryptocurrency prices go up and down all the time and having people, come in the crypto space and leave whenever that happens. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about that. Look at a lot of other updates that have happened in this space since our live stream on Friday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Just subscribe, turn on notifications. You're gonna find out about those whenever we go live. We get started a little bit late today, so thanks for everybody's patience. We're gonna answer some of your questions in the live chat here and a whole lot more. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to know how to master blockchain step by step to our finish, then definitely head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. We are, in case you have missed the announcement and have not been watching the channel over the past few weeks, definitely the Blockchain Bootcamp is the fastest way to change your career, break into the blockchain industry, and we have the Blockchain Bootcamp 2.0 launch coming up just next week. All right, so head on over and hold your spot today. So we got people jumping in the chat here. We got CodeChap, Cody, technically above Realty, Robert, CJ, Jaya, Eric, Sunil. Let's see here, VDZ86. Let's see here. So live chat's moving on me here. Tebo, Matthew, JBA, look at the bigger picture. Gus, welcome. All right, so let's jump into this. So let's talk about crypto and Web 3.0 reaching mass adoption, because there's a lot of sentiment in this space right now of like, hey, this space feels kind of like slow. A lot of tension has waned based, whenever cryptocurrency prices have gone down. That's sort of the nature of the Web 3.0 technology in the first place. There's this really strange assumption that when cryptocurrency prices are going up, that somehow blockchain technology is working. Okay, when crypto prices are going down, that it's not working. And some of that's tied to the speculative nature of crypto. What are the different things you can do with Web 3.0, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, all that type of stuff? Well, financial speculation is one of the biggest use cases, okay? And so basically, whenever crypto is making people money, they, like paying attention to crypto and they like using the actual technology itself. And when the crypto is not making people money, they stop using the technology and they totally flee from the space. But what are the things that are non-speculative use cases for crypto that are actually gaining traction right now that can really help give this space staying power aside just from the financial speculative use cases themselves? Well, we're going to talk about some of those right now. I actually bring up something that kind of triggered this in my head, talking about some of these, something I saw come up in the news this past 24 hours while I was getting up prepping for this live stream today. So let's go ahead and kind of dive into this. All right, so let's see here. So the Ethereum name service domain was just sold for, an Ethereum name service domain was just bought for $315,000 in the second biggest sale ever. Okay, so the ENS name 000.eth was sold for 300 ETH or $315,000 yesterday. This makes it the second largest sale behind Paradigm.eth. Okay. So this is a pretty big milestone because ENS is actually starting to gain quite a bit of traction. And ENS is one of the players that I see, or that particular use case being a big use case for crypto and blockchain that is not necessarily just tied to financial speculation. Now, I'm going to talk about some more use cases in just a minute, but this is one of the things that sort of triggered this in my head while I was kind of getting up and looking what's happened in the crypto space today and saying, what's interesting to talk about? This is one of those things, okay? And we're talking about some more in a minute. But first of all, with ENS, what is it if you're not familiar? So ENS is a decentralized domain name service where basically you can register, domain names on a blockchain, okay? And then you have that way of doing things as opposed to the centralized way of doing things. Now, I know a lot of people are going to look at this and say, a domain name sale going for an insane amount of money. That sounds like a lot of financial speculation behind it. That is true, okay? But we also have that happening with regular domain names. It happens all the time, but that doesn't negate the fact that domain names themselves are an extremely valid use case for centralized web technology itself, okay? So there will be a bit of financial speculation behind domain names themselves, but that's not the sole purpose. Okay, the actual utility under the domain names themselves is one of the reasons that they had the speculation in the first place. Because think about it this way: if you're buying cryptocurrency that's purely speculative, you might just be chasing bubbly trends, or it's sort of like the greater fool theory, where maybe you buy some like crypto that obviously has no value proposition. You're just trying to hold it until the highest possible price before you passing it on to somebody else. That's pure financial speculation, right? But with a domain name, okay, one of the reasons you're buying it is when you see this here, second largest sale behind Paradigm.eth. Well, obviously this person was domain squatting to try to sell their ENS name to Paradigm. This is an established entity who they know wants to buy this because they want to have an ENS name that resolves to whatever they want. Okay, so you see that domain name squatting happening in the first place because people actually want domain names. People want to register domains that point to their websites. In this case, Ethereum addresses or blockchain wallets, whatever you're using the ENS name for, is because the thing that you're selling actually has real utility value proposition to the end user. That serves a business case. They want a human readable name, all right, for their actual wallet. That's what ENS does. So this is one that is taking off quite well. And another reason let's just see here. Another reason I was pulling this up, I saw this tweet come up. Let's see if I can find it. Let's just see here. Hold on. Another reason I was pulling this up is because I was looking at a couple other use cases that are kind of tracking with this alongside of it. Let me just pull it up here. I was seeing this tweet kind of fall across my Twitter this morning when I was kind of looking at things that inspired what we're talking about today. So full credit here to my buddy Anthony Sassano over at his channel in the Daily Gwei. He was talking about some of this. Love to see more non-speculative Ethereum apps take off during the bear market. So ones you can think of are, Gitcoin, POAP, and ENS. So we were just talking about ENS from the story we just saw of the top ENS use case, the top ENS domain name sale. But let's talk about some of these other ones that he brought up and a couple other that I want to throw in myself. So first of all, another non-speculative, use case, we'll talk about some of these here in a minute, some of the ones you may not have heard of yet. But another one's obvious, I think a lot of people take for granted, are stable coins, okay? So stable coins in and of themselves are a massive use case for, blockchain technology that does have a pretty big benefit over the traditional way of doing things right now. So I know stablecoins are a boring thing because most people just think of stablecoins as a way to get in and out of speculative cryptocurrencies and stay in the crypto ecosystem. When you're trying to buy low and sell high, well, you want to peg the US dollar to get in and out with that speculative use case. But stablecoins in themselves have a pretty big benefit over things like wire transfers, for example. So if you're trying to send, cryptocurrency to another person with a large amount of money to other people, somebody else, you can get faster settlement with stable coins. You can get that transparency, and the velocity of money is a really big thing when you're talking about just how fast money changes hands and moves throughout an economy. And when you remove the bottleneck for settlement in that case, and you can allow money to change hands out this processing time, this gatekeeping, and fees in order to do that, all this friction, then that can really help things out too. And one potential use case for crypto, a lot of people think that hey, we're not going to have people just have MetaMask wallets all the time and, make transactions online that way, especially not large amount of money. Well, that's called self-custody. I think we will have self-custody for a lot of people who want to do it, assuming that the regulations continue to allow that. One potential vision for crypto down the road is essentially building new financial infrastructure that a lot of the existing user experience can run off of. And stablecoins can be part of that, okay? So imagine your online banking user experience now, maybe not changing that much, but a lot of the stuff that happens underneath the hood is actually settled on new financial rails rather the old financial rails. Because when you're talking about, the current infrastructure now, it kind of runs on antiquated, really slow infrastructure. Okay. And a lot of that infrastructure can be gutted and replaced with blockchain infrastructure to speed up a lot of that stuff. Because if you're talking about money changing hands, like a lot of times there's so many, different things that you have to check off in order to make that happen. But if you can just do it instantly and programmatically the blockchain, then that's a big use case that can bring more people into the space for sure. So that's kind of a boring use case, but it's one that often gets overlooked because stablecoins have a massive use case beyond just, getting in and out of speculative cryptocurrencies in a decentralized way. So I was talking about a couple other ones of these, which are proof of attendance protocols. So I don't know if you all have looked at this that much. But this is one that I think is pretty cool too. So let me just pull it up on my screen here. So proof of attendance protocol, the bookmarks of your life. So proof of attendance protocols are digital mementos minted in celebration of life's remarkable moments. And you can actually download the app on the App Store here, whether you're on Apple or, on Google. So each proof of attendance protocol is a gift from an issuer to collectors in celebration of a special shared memory. So by minting these memories to the blockchain, collectors build a rich tapestry of tokenized experiences, which unlock a world of possibilities. Okay, so what is a proof of attendance? So basically, it's a new way of keeping reliable record-keeping experiences. All right, you can see why would you use it. It basically allows event organizers to better engage their audiences. Okay, so basically, at a high level, what is it? Basically, you're getting an NFT that's issued whenever you attend, in-person events. All right, so this could be lots of different things. This could be actual, a concert. It could be a sporting event. It could also just be, like a required attendance for event at university or college, right? So let's say that, you had to go to some sort of event and prove that you were there, to get part of your, let's just say it's required for your degree or something, or a certain class. So you could basically have this sort of trustless way to prove that people, went to certain things, and then, boom, there you go. I mean, who knows? This could basically have some implication for, I don't know, like parole. Let's say you had to prove that you didn't, you were in a certain state at a certain point in time. Maybe you could get a proof of attendance protocol from trusted signers that prove that you were, where you're supposed to be at any given time. I mean, the possibilities are pretty much endless. How they're marketing it here on the site is basically for people to, keep track of memories and curate your life in sort of like a, seems like the kind of, appealing to the more kind of nostalgia factor and holding on to memories in a way that help you, remember them later. But there could be real utility behind this to prove that someone was in a certain location. So how does it work? So basically, it's got to do with people signing and communities basically verifying that you are in a place at a certain time. In order for you to get one of these proof of attendance protocols, POAP tokens, so that you can hold them in your wallet and then they sign it to basically do that. So I like this explanation here. So in essence, POAPs can almost be thought of as an upgrade to checking in or tagging a location or a person on social media, as users don't reveal any sensitive personal data by doing so. I think that's a pretty cool way of doing things. So in other ways, it's almost like a trustless way of tagging, right, online. So let's say you get on Instagram and you upload a photo and you tag that you were in a certain location. Well, basically, there's no way to totally guarantee that you were there, right? I haven't used Instagram that much in a while, but I remember when you first started, it was like you had to upload a photo that actually had the metadata for that location. And I think now you can just choose wherever you want to. But even if you had to upload the photo with the metadata, you could still fake that metadata on the photo itself. It's not that hard to do if you're a sophisticated user. So that's kind of an upgrade to the web experience of actually proving that you were at a location. Of course, there's the social proof of you taking a picture of yourself there if you're just doing it for, clout or whatever reason. But there are lots of ways where you could prove that you're at a location where that could be useful information. I mean, think about like we've talked for a long time about blockchain and supply chain. Supply chain's a pretty big topic of conversation in the popular media because supply chain is one of the big bottlenecks that's causing our current financial situation of inflation, inventory shortages, all this type of stuff. Supply chain is a top of mind issue, and there could be ways where you could have proof of attendance and think about more like a proof of location. All right. If humans are involved in moving these items from point A to point B, where you can speed up the information about where things are in the supply chain, where you can increase trust in that system, where I think we're just scratching the surface on what we can do in that regard. And as technology gets better, there could be ways to automate that where there's less trust and less human involved. But part with blockchain is reporting on chain having benefits. So there's all these different benefits of blockchain technology, like trustlessness, decentralization, transparency, immutability, all that type of stuff. So when you're talking about human inputted data on chain, you can't always trust that the data that's inputted by humans, or really any data that's not completely calculated on chain, is 100% accurate, right? But you still have this benefit of transparency, that you can see exactly what was put on chain, and that's like there's a public record of that, and that you can always tie that information back to who entered it, okay? And then you can get that information basically in real time, and anybody can, in a trustless way. So there are systems where those benefits are still valuable, where anybody can put information in, okay? And then that information can be read in real time, okay? And then that information can be used to sort of say, well, you said this, and we know because we have a record of it on chain. So that there are ways where that can fit in supply chain type of model to provide benefits where we're not seeing those benefits totally right now. So basically another one. So that was Gitcoin, and this is one that he mentioned in his tweet here. I thought I'd bring that up. So Gitcoin is definitely a huge part of the open source Web 3.0 space. I think there are things that we can take from Gitcoin and apply them to other avenues outside of just Web 3.0. Now, Gitcoin's a pretty natural fit for Web 3.0 because you've already got these people who understand crypto, so they understand how to give cryptocurrency to these initiatives, and then you already see, like, they understand typically what they're funding, because that's the big thing with Gitcoin is typically it's there to fund open source projects that are about blockchain or Web 3.0, okay, and then you contribute to those with crypto, but it has a special mechanism called quadratic funding, which I want to talk about here in a second. So basically, that's why Gitcoin's a natural fit, because, let's say I want to give to a project and a project raising money for a grant. Okay, well, if it's for regular people, like, they may not hold crypto in their wallet in the first place, like I was just saying, but they also may not understand what they're funding. So that's why Gitcoin's a natural fit. So you can see all the grants here. All right. You can see, they want to create an ETH leaderboard, the Loot Tapestry, okay, ZK, REPL, all right, BitLoan protocol. I mean, you see all these projects. This is also a pretty good place to see, what's up and coming in the crypto space, what are the new things that are being tried and what are people actually giving money for. So if you want some additional alpha on what to look out for and who's building during the bear market, this is a pretty good, little incubator of small, not always small, but some of these are small, more indie projects. But sometimes you'll see, pretty big things pop up on here too. I don't want to misrepresent the projects on here for sure. There will be a large number of kind of more indie projects, but you'll also see some big, well-established projects on here as well. So I'll talk about part of this, which is the quadratic funding model. So it's actually pretty cool, where essentially, like, whenever you give to projects, you have other people who have pledged matches that will you'll have basically you'll have other projects that will pledge matches that will essentially multiply how they work. So basically what will happen is you'll have people set aside money for a matching pool, okay? And then basically, like, whenever you give $1, okay, the matching pool might give some insane multiple of that, okay? So basically, like, you can see this project A got $1,000 in funding from 5 contributors for $1 each. Okay, project B got $1,000 from 2 contributors. Project C received $1,000 from 20 contributors. And then basically we have some sort of funding where basically their $1 match, the $1 contribution was matched by a $26.97 contribution. Okay, almost 27x, or a 5x was matched by almost a $60 match. Or $5 contribution was matched by almost a $60 match, or a $20 was matched by almost 117. Okay, so basically you can see, like, this quadratic funding model essentially, like, is a huge force multiplier. So it only takes a handful of people, like a large number of people who can only give a small amount, and then you have these funds that are set aside that are just sort of like allocating based on what lots of other people are doing. So quadratic funding is definitely a cool use case that can help with that too. So those ones that are actually getting real traction right now, let's talk about some more that I think we're just scratching the surface on, that we could start to see some real traction from soon. Because at the end of the day, we want to have these use cases that can bring people in the space that aren't just about financial speculation. Okay, so definitely NFTs, I think, have opened up the door to lots of new use cases. Okay, for a couple reasons. We've had NFT technology for a long time, but the world kind of became NFT obsessed within the last year, and that's caused so many people to start, kind of brainstorming what we can do with NFTs. And it's done two things. It's made people sort of like, explode with use cases for NFTs, but it's also sort of made the market ready to start using NFTs for other things, because we've had NFTs for a long time, but it's hard to tell people, like, hey, we have this NFT based blank, when nobody knows what NFT is. Okay, but a lot more people know what NFTs are now. I mean, it's become a mainstream term. Okay, not so mainstream like your grandmother uses it or has heard of it, but like your weird uncle's probably heard of NFTs. You know what I mean? You're probably, if you walk into a room with 100 people, there's probably a few people who have heard of NFTs inside that room. So, depending on what room you're in. But basically, soulbound tokens, I think, are a huge use case for NFTs that we're just scratching the surface for. And I did a video on these a while back, but I bring it up again. So soulbound tokens, basically what they are, I don't think it's a great name, but the whole idea is that they are non-transferable NFTs. So basically, right now, one of the things about NFTs is people are flipping them for profits. Okay, that's how NFTs become highly speculative in terms of financial use cases. Okay, but basically, like, if you could have use cases for NFTs where you don't want people flipping them for profits. So what an example could be here, it could be like your credentials, like a university degree. So you could get an NFT issued by, a university that stays in your wallet. You can't take it out. Maybe they could revoke it. All right. And not that they want them to revoke a university degree, but there could be other things that you would do with soulbound tokens where you receive an NFT to prove that you had something from a trusted issuer, where you can't just take it out and sell it. You could also do things like your job experience. Okay. So what are the benefits of soulbound tokens? Well, basically, anybody could quickly glance at your reputation on chain and see that you have certain credentials that were issued by a trusted third party. And basically, if you have these third parties on chain, you would know that that's the official sort of verified entity that signed out that, yes, this person went here, they did that, or this person worked for me, they did this, okay? And then that speeds up the trust. And you can automate that into software all the time. Like, think about like LinkedIn, right? You can just say that you work somewhere on LinkedIn, but there's no guarantee that you actually did that. Now, there's lots of social, social verification of that type of thing. Like, you're not going to get very far if you try to fake it, but you can speed it up, right? You can speed it up and remove any and all doubt, and add new levels of trust to the internet that previously were not there before. So another one for sure is, so that's another use case for NFTs, definitely soul-bound tokens. And I do think that we're just scratching the surface on what we can do with, decentralized social media, all right? And, Lens protocol is one that's just getting started in that domain. So if you haven't, I also did a video of the Lens protocol a while back, exploring. So I did a video on Lens protocol a while back. So basically this is created by the founders of Aave, one of the biggest decentralized finance applications out there. Aave is a savings and lending market. But Lens was created as a social media, Web 3.0 social media protocol powered by NFTs. All right. And so what are the benefits of Lens? Well, Lens is a protocol. It's not a social media app in itself. So the whole idea is you use Lens to create other social media apps. All right. And you use it to basically store things on chain. And, some of the benefits are that, with blockchain, you're a user of the entire network, not just an individual application. So, with Lens, let's say you had different social media apps. Well, your entire social graph could transfer with you from application to application. Okay. Let's say you're a user on Twitter, user on Instagram. Well, if you have friends on Twitter, they don't necessarily transfer to Instagram. You have to do all that work to rebuild your following. With Lens, you could have a one-to-one transfer, assuming that you had an account on the entire network. You can do things with NFTs because you have a decentralized identity. They're not possible with regular, social media applications. And so if you want to get some more, alpha on what's happening in the decentralized social media space, then go check out some of the, projects that have actually shipped on Lens. All right. So my previous video about it, but they have a big developer incentive program. So there's potential opportunity to make some money as a developer by creating things for the ecosystem. But you can already see new projects like Lenster. Okay. You can see what's happening with Lenster. You can see the Lens leaderboard. Okay. Refract. Okay. So have to go check this out. So anyways, there's a lot more things that we could talk about in terms of, these use cases that are not just financial speculation. Some of them are gaining traction already. Some of them are beginning to gain traction, and we're excited to see where they go. Lots of other things, decentralized identity. I think we have a lot of growing to do there. I think blockchain-based gaming is still kind of in its infancy and has a lot of room to grow. Kind of left that one out because there's still probably some element of speculation involved in that, because you're probably gonna have in-game items, people trying to flip them, make profits off of them, all that type of stuff. But that's okay. It's still, I'm not opposed to these use cases at all, right? I'm just trying to make the video topic about things that are not going to be prone to these boom and bust cycles that financial speculation is highly prone to. So there's other things that we can do. There's also user experience, things that we can do to improve basically scalability, all that type of stuff. And another thing that I've seen come up recently is basically adding things like account abstraction. Okay, so account abstraction is big. Let me see my OBS here. Has a lot of potential. So basically, I meant to talk about this the other day in my live stream, but hadn't had time. So basically, this came up last week, but I'll go ahead and bring it up now since we're kind of on a relevant topic. So account abstraction is one of the hottest topics being discussed at the moment. So leading L2s like ZK Sync and StarkNet support it. But what is account abstraction and why should you care? Well, let us explain. So basically, account abstraction moves crypto from the current approach of one account fits all, where people can lose everything with a small mistake, to a future where an account can be tailored to their needs. Okay, so basically, better UX, greater security, more flexibility, and much, much more. So basically, the difference is, you have externally owned accounts, okay? That's primarily how people use blockchain right now. Basically, they have an account that's got a seed phrase, okay? And then that seed phrase connects to their public account like MetaMask. But basically, these are controlled by your signer, which is a public key and a private key, okay? It's a key pair. And basically, if you send your public key, then, you have like your username on the blockchain and your password is a private key. But if you lose your private key, you're toast. So basically, you can have a hardware wallet, okay? But let's talk about account abstraction. So account abstraction turns accounts into smart contracts with their own logic to define what a valid transaction is. So the only requirement is that they comply with a specific interface with methods to validate and execute transactions. So no longer do you have a one account fits all use case. Instead, each user can have an account adapted to their needs with seamless compatibility. So basically, you can use things like multi-call, okay? You can do social recovery, okay? You can create seamless user experiences for gaming using session wallets, all right, rather than having to have one wallet for your entire time. So there's lots of different possibilities, and Argent is definitely a project that's focusing on this. And so beyond the use cases, I think, the user experience is also a big factor in, keeping, bringing in mainstream crypto adoption. I think scalability is a big part of that. We've got scalability being highly focused on right now. So anyways, that's kind of overview. I want to talk about some of this stuff today because, we saw the news of the big, ENS sale, and that's kind of got me thinking about what are the big use cases for crypto that are still gaining adoption right now, even despite crypto being in this kind of quiet, bearish time. But I think that the builders are down, builders are head down, build the next wave of applications that you're going to take crypto to the next level. So let's see here. We got some questions in the chat. Can I make content on becoming a core developer? Maybe we might try to do a little bit of that. So, I'd say the demand for like both people hiring core developers and also people wanting to learn core development is kind of less. That's one of the reasons we haven't focused on it as much. I'm not saying there's not demand for core developers. There definitely is. It's just that the pool is a lot smaller than application developers for sure. And that basically, that basically kind of stands to reason because there's way more apps than there are, sort of core technologies. What should I learn, JS or Python? I have basic knowledge of both. So, I'll put it this way. I personally focus on JavaScript for a very specific reason. My goal is to get people to be competent blockchain developers, and part of that is, having some flexibility in what you can do. So basically, you definitely need to learn Solidity, the programming language for writing smart contracts, and understand how that works, in and out. But then you typically need a second programming language to do other tasks. Bare minimum, you need to be able to write tests for the smart contracts, write scripts so you can automate things and make them do things on chain. But then so you could do that with Python, right? You could also do it with JavaScript, but with JavaScript, you get this additional benefit of being able to write user interfaces, create websites. JavaScript is a lingua franca of the web. And, I won't say most developers know JavaScript, but a lot of developers know JavaScript. A lot of developers know Python too, but like if you're starting to get into the overlap of the web world, so Web 3.0, you're going to get a lot of mileage out of JavaScript. And that's one of the reasons I focus on it so heavily. It's not that Python's not a bad language to learn. It's just you're going to get a little more mileage out of JavaScript in the blockchain space, in my opinion. You can definitely learn Python, but if you're just starting out, you do not want to overwhelm yourself with too many things to learn. Like you're probably not going to get very far if you're just like trying to learn, blockchain and Python and JavaScript all at the same time. Definitely not want to. Definitely do not recommend trying to do that if you're just starting out. So I have actually gone longer than I anticipated. So I'm going to go decide to sign off there for today. Great questions, everybody. As always, just smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so that more people learn about blockchain. If you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? Then you can definitely go to my YouTube homepage. You can find those free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those, you want to take the next step. Hey, maybe I'll take a master shortcut entirely. I actually become a blockchain master step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. We've got that big blockchain bootcamp 2.0 launch coming up next week on Thursday, July 14th. Make sure you hold your spot with the link down below. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks.